So the name of my project is Piracy, Password Sharing, and the Birth of HBO Now. I think that this topic does a really good job of sort of answering the semester question that we have, which is, what do you think are the biggest emerging media / social media issues impacting society and culture in today's world? And why are they so impactful, and what does that mean for the future? I think this sort of piracy into HBO Now thing is super great for answering this question, because the problem and why it's impactful is piracy has been an issue for forever, and now it is affecting companies so much that they are enticed to give people what they want, which is the content, but on a different level than they ever have before. So in this case, where you needed to have a cable subscription to watch HBO, now you have the option to buy it as a standalone service. So I think that a lot of that was prompted by piracy and could have been, eradicated to some extent because of HBO's willingness to say, hey, we understand what you want, and what you want is our content, so we're going to make sure that everybody can have it. And that is how I'm going to explain it. Just as a cute little intro, I really like this website. I think that it's a lot of fun. It was basically, the viral start to, hey, maybe HBO should get a standalone service. So someone created this website, takemymoney.hbo.com, and they reached out to people being like, hey, how much money would you pay to be able to watch HBO without having cable? Or how much would you pay to cut your cable service so that you could continue watching this show? And, it kind of caught on. So enjoy this cute little video about it.
Kind of blew up.
What did this J-Kid say? HBO, take my money?
Yeah, big balls, huh?
We'll take it, all right.
This kid's obsessed with HBO. That I understand.
And he's blabbing about it all over the Twitter?
He's got over 160,000 hits. He's viral.
Is that contagious?
We get in, we get out, we get paid. Okay?
Okay, but if he gets lippy, it's good night, Jakey.
That's kind of why I built the website. When HBO contacted me on Twitter, I was thrilled.
Guys, what is that?
There he is.
Yeah. Jake Caputo.
King of the freaking interwebs.
We hear you like to give money away, Jake.
And we like money, Jakey.
I can't believe you guys have actually heard of me.
Yeah, we heard of you.
Your balls ain't that big now that we're here. Honey, Jakey.
No,
We're here to take your money. Give me your wallet.
there's not much in there.
What's this?
How much we got?
Here, for the subway. Leave him alone.
Hey, Tweeter man, I'll be seeing you. Wanna grab a slice?
Yeah, I'm late for spin class.
So that can just show you how, back in 2012, someone was like, hey, I really want to watch HBO. And, 3 years later, now that's a thing, which is just really incredible. I think that is important to note, just based on piracy, that HBO needed this to happen. Like, it is just something that overwhelmingly had to occur in order to, even try to take a stab at getting rid of piracy, which we're going to continue on to now. So, P is for piracy. And I really like this little piece of imagery, just, tying it into Game of Thrones, because I guess you could consider Game of Thrones sort of like an underlying subject of this project, because Game of Thrones is probably the biggest perpetrator as to why piracy exists and why it's so hard for HBO to combat, because just Game of Thrones alone, it was illegally downloaded 7.1 million times, which is just kind of outrageous. I can't believe how many total times it must have been downloaded throughout every single season. It's probably in the billions by now. But to think that this show is so necessary to so many people that they are going to download it 7.1 million times, in addition to the millions of subscribers that HBO already has, it really kind of speaks to you and hey, maybe we should give the people what they want, which is essentially what they did. So with piracy, it does impact the Digital Millennium Copyright Act of 1998, which essentially requires companies to remove web content that is compromising copyright law, which torrenting and piracy does, because it essentially takes content that is only supposed to be released on one platform and gives everyone the ability to have it without a cost. And that is infringement upon everyone that created that content, so therefore it is piracy. And two of the largest torrent websites, which are BitTorrent and Torrent Freak, are being heavily investigated for Game of Thrones torrenting. It's interesting to note that in 2011, before HBO Now, and I'm pretty sure even before HBO Go existed, that BitTorrent took up 13% of all web traffic. 13% is a gigantic number, especially comparative to the 7.1 million. So just think of how, if that 13% were to go up, how much that download number would go up. It's kind of outrageous. Now, as of 2015, BitTorrent only accounts for 4% of traffic, which is an incredible drop. And I think that all just applies to how HBO has decided to, sort of work hand in hand with, hey, we're thinking about doing standalone, but we're also probably gonna, get after you for doing all this piracy. So a way that they worked to combat that was partnering with a company called IP Echelon, which essentially hit Torrent Freak and BitTorrent really hard with FTC warnings. They would trap people's IP addresses and say, hey, just so you know, we know that you're downloading this show illegally and you should probably stop doing that. Which, in the grand scheme of things, considering that the company just lost money, that's a really nice way to put it. And it's interesting to note that after one of the emails that they sent to someone, it had a passage that said HBO is free, or is available to all people with the use of HBO Now, which I think is an awesome way to not only combat piracy, but to entice people to want to use your product in a legal way. Hey, you're doing something wrong, but hey, we're going to give you this option to get all the content that you want for $15 a month. It's just a really great marketing tactic, as well as trying to fix this problem. Which, thinking about piracy and thinking about standalone comes down to one thing. M is for money. I don't even know how to find out how much money Game of Thrones has lost due to piracy. It's just probably an unfathomable number. I don't know how you can quantify a download, but just think about if each 7.1 million downloads was linked to one account. That's 15 times 7.1 million is very scary large number. So a way that they can continue to make money was by going standalone. So instead of being an ad-based standalone company, which is something like Crackle, which I read an article that says, you can laugh if you don't know what Crackle is. I'm laughing. But Crackle is all dependent upon ad dollars, so it gives you not prime content and not really the best, best viewing experience due to all of the ads. But HBO decided, hey, we're going to charge people $15 a month, it's a little bit less than what it would be through cable, but you're going to get everything that you want, which is really what people want. If you're going to be giving them your entire library or entire catalog of shows, they're going to be willing to pay for it, and they're going to be willing to pay for the quality that you want to give them, which is completely ad-free. So not only is this a great way to save money through piracy, but it's definitely a great way to make money with an additional way that someone can, cord shave as opposed to cord cutting, which is definitely a phenomenon that has been happening lately. We're seeing, instead of people getting rid of cable altogether, that they are going to be getting rid of, some of the premium channels. Like Food Network is apparently on its way out, all of the sports packages, and, now you can get HBO, Showtime, all of those things as a standalone. And people are pretty much trading in cable for Netflix anyway. So the fact that you can get these channels that were once only available on cable is really, like a showcase to A, listening to the consumer, B, combating piracy, and C, hey, this is just another way we can make more money. So my next little throw-in would be password sharing. So password sharing now is actually a federal offense that you can be prosecuted for, which is kind of scary because, what if you're just giving it to your mom? You think they're going to arrest you for that? And the answer is probably not. So while, yes, some companies will push you to be sued if you are sharing your password because it's considered unlawful to the company. That is how they get you. While you, as the owner of the account, may be like, hey, I'm not going to be watching, so I don't care if my mom watches. The company is pretty upset that you're going to let your mom watch when you are the only one that's paying for it. So that is the loophole that they can go through to prosecute you. But companies like HBO and like Netflix, who sort of thrive off of this, hey, it's a family affair, everyone, let's watch TV, let's just hang out, watch a movie, have a good time. These are the companies that aren't really going to push you for it. The CEO of HBO has actually come out and said, it's a negative thing to, go after people for password sharing, because if 10 people are watching it on a couch, just depending on whose house it is, why does it matter? We want people to be able to share our content and use it as a family. Even if it is your roommates instead of a family, it's still considered a household subscription. So that's something that they definitely push and are like, don't worry about it. But they also will come after you if they see that 15 different computers are all watching Game of Thrones at the same exact time. So the fact that they're even just willing to, kind of negotiate with you, being like, hey, we know that you're probably going to share it a couple times, and it may be lawful ways, and it may be sort of less desirable ways, we're still, going to give you the opportunity to do it within reason. So that's definitely awesome, because I definitely know there have been times where I'm like, hey, I'm out of town, I don't have cable where I am, can I just use your HBO Now account or your HBO Go account? And it's just a lot easier to do that. But go HBO for understanding that these things happen and that it's just not worth getting that upset about. So we've gone through piracy, money, password sharings, and now we're here. Now we are at where Jake Caputo wanted us to be, which is S for standalone. HBO has launched a standalone site that you can purchase for $14. You can look at it on your computer, your TV, your tablet, your phone, anything and everything in between. It's something that has essentially revolutionized the way that we watch television, because they're saying, hey, we're going to give you this content that is so good that you're willing to pay an extra $15 a month just to have our channel, just to have not only these current shows airing in real time. So say Game of Thrones comes on at 9 o'clock, you can watch it at 9:02 on HBO Now with no issues, or limited issues, fingers crossed. So it's just really great that they want to do that, and the fact that we don't have to sit through ads, and we don't have to, pick and choose what seasons or what shows we want to watch. Everything is just available to you, and that just shows you how powerful of a platform and how powerful of a production company HBO has become, because they are willing to give you their content at this low price and whenever or wherever you want it. So it's like a Netflix, but it's some content that some people have never even been exposed to before due to the lack of cable. So, go you, HBO. I'm like super proud of where this has gone, and like the fact that it is based upon, hey, people are torrenting our show, so maybe we should think of a different way to give the people what they want, because that really is what it is at the end of the day. A good way to stop people from stealing your show, make it more available to them. Make it something that they can get that is literally you only need internet. And that's what I really liked about the video at the beginning of this project, which is you only need internet to watch HBO. That's incredible. You don't need to have all of this $200 cable package to watch this, and you're locked in for 2 years. You literally just pay $15 a month that you can cancel at any time, and you get a free month in the beginning. It's just a really ingenious way of saying, we have all these issues, let's try this out and see if it works. So it's like killing probably like 5 birds with one stone, which, like I said before, good for you, HBO. And now you can watch HBO without stealing. I would love to see the data on how much downloads have possibly gone down. I know that within the first few months of HBO Now being released that it really didn't have that much of a dip, but you don't really understand fandoms and how much people are willing to pay for a product until something like HBO becomes available to everyone. I believe that we went over this article earlier in the semester about how broadcast channels just don't understand fandoms. Well, Game of Thrones really does understand fandoms. So it's just really great to see not only HBO being like, hey, we want to give you what we want, but we're also going to add in how we made this episode at the end of all Game of Thrones episodes, and they're going to interact with you on Twitter and all of their social medias, and they're going to give you this free, or essentially not free, but $15 content that you can watch at any time you want. They're just going above and beyond what they're supposed to do as a company and as a brand, not only to directly, incinerate piracy, since they are the number one for piracy, but also making your consumer happy. Like, Jake probably didn't know when he made that website, TakeMyMoneyHBO.com, that HBO had a serious piracy problem, and even that Game of Thrones had a serious piracy problem. But he went through and thought, I'll pay for it. I'm going to tell HBO what I'd pay for it, and he did. And it all worked out. Now we can all watch HBO. So I urge all you pirators, I'm sorry if there are some that are listening to this project, but go out, pay the $15. Having everything that HBO has ever put out will definitely change your life. And for this class, you can probably come up with like 15 different types of projects just based on HBO content and what that represents in culture, society, economics, everywhere. Pop culture is king. Content is king. HBO is king. Alright guys, I had a super awesome time making this project. It's so cool being able to talk about not only my favorite shows, my favorite platforms, but how it really affects marketing, money, piracy, and people all over the globe. So I hope you liked it as much as I did. Thanks guys.